Welcome into this episode of Whiskey Riff Raff. I am Quinn, and with me is usually Shelby, but today we're changing it up a bit. Shelby out of town. Brennan, that means you're in. It's a next man up mentality here at Whiskey Riff Raff. So, Brennan, welcome to the Whiskey Riff Raff podcast. You're going to be the co-host for today for those that are listening. Brennan, you want to talk a little bit about what you do for Whiskey Riff?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, first of all, just happy to be here. Always, like you said, next man up mentality. I wear a lot of hats here at Whiskey Riff. I am primarily a writer, then I co-run social media with Shelby. So pretty much anything you see on the Whiskey Riff Instagram is all made by me. Again, mainly was here for writing, but then transitioned there. Also been doing stuff behind the scenes here at the podcast. So all the graphics you see and thumbnails for YouTube and all that, all done by yours truly. So just cool. Been behind the scenes for a bit on the podcast, but it's cool to finally get a chance to be here. So
Yes,
yeah, I'm glad for the opportunity.
You definitely wear a lot of hats for Whiskey Riff. And today we're talking to Brantley Gilbert. We're really excited to talk to him about his new album and what's going on as far as his life and his career and touring and all that good stuff. So we'll get to that in just a second. But first, we have an ad read. Today's episode is brought to you by Rock the South and Rock the Country. If you're looking for a reason to get out and see some live country music this year, Rock the Country is bringing the party to a few different stops across the country. Brantley Gilbert is performing at the next stop in Hastings, Michigan, and the lineup is stacked from top to bottom. After that, Rock the Country is headed to Ocala, Florida, and Hamburg, New York, with even more great artists and a full weekend of country music. And don't forget about Rock the South, one of the biggest country music festivals that was recently moved to October 1st through the 4th in Decatur, Alabama. Whether you're looking for a weekend with your buddies, a trip with your family, or just a chance to see some of your favorite artists live, these are the festivals you don't want to miss. Head over to rockthecountry.com and rockthesouth.com to grab your tickets and see all the details. And without further ado, here's our interview with Brantley Gilbert. Brantley Gilbert, thanks so much for joining the Whiskey Riff Raff podcast. We're happy to talk to you today.
Absolutely, boys. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you as well. And I know that you've got a lot going on. You've been doing a lot of press for your upcoming album, which I think by the time this episode comes out will have already been released. So we can kind of talk about all the songs and everything that's about it. If you had any secrets, feel free to let them rip, because we're not going to release it until after it's out. But Sins of the Father, that's your newest project that you've released. How has that been, putting that out in front of the world to everybody?
Oh, man, it's been awesome. So I was with the same label for 15 years and spent about 12 hours as a free agent and signed over at BMG Wheelhouse. And, man, it was really an opportunity for me to kind of fall in love all over again with what I do. You know
Right.
what I mean? Never took the people around me for granted that helped me build this over 20 years. Never took the people that supported us and bought tickets and albums over the years for granted. Just, when it turns into a job, your motivations are different.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted to fall back in love with the process, and we have. A lot of times, what this album is kind of one of the, stylistically, we wanted to go back to the first couple albums I ever put out. How many times you fall in love with an artist or a band? Those are the first two records, and you feel like they stray from it, And we always say that's because, you have your whole life experience to write your first two albums, which is true, but you also don't know the rules. You know what I mean? You don't know how to write the radio. You don't know how to write commercially. It's, more what sounds good and what feels good. So we took all the rules out of the writing rooms, took all the rules out of the studio, co-produced it with Brock Berryhill, and man, we're super proud of it. Like it's really excited for people to hear it.
And you said you were only a free agent for about 12 hours. Was that one of those things that it just naturally kind of, that next step showed itself, or did you have plans kind of prior to?
No, I wanted to leave with integrity. I never had a conversation.
Yeah.
No, and I asked not to be notified if there was a conversation. But I knew where I wanted to be, and we didn't want to go in and hard negotiate for stuff. I know the score. I know where I'm at in my career. I know my worth, and they do too. So it was, we've been here for a minute. We've been in the business for a minute. Without Ian cutting the songs he did early in my career, really, opened doors, and we're not sitting here having this conversation had that not happened. And a lot of people that were at Valerie and Big Machine when I signed there are now at BMG. So, including one of our biggest, go-getters, Joe Jamie. And I've always loved Loba. So it was, I knew where I wanted to be. And we went in, made it happen, signed on stage in Franklin at a show, and I immediately turned in 100 songs.
I'm sure they like that.
Oh, it was awesome. Whittled down from 100 to 70, 50, 30, 20, and 15. And, this album makes a couple statements. It's 15 songs is a lot when you're coming off not banging the door down at radio. Radio hasn't historically been our strong suit. There's guys that have, been in this that have 3 times as many number ones that can't sell out our pit. We've done touring successfully, and over the years and been able to maintain that. But this label's got it going on in the radio space, and we did want to re-engage that. You know what I mean, and excel at the highest level there. So, it was an easy move, and it was a lot of work because they were leaning on me really hard to take creative control. But at the same time, like, hey, I signed over here because you guys know what's working. So I can get behind all 100 of these. We all went in as a team and worked it down to 15, and there's only one feature on the entire album.
Right.
And it's my brother Jelly. But even that wasn't because he's fire hot right now, or because we have a super close relationship. He was an integral part of that song and a driving force of that song. The whole thing came from, he came into a right one day and was a little heavy, and I don't mean like physically heavy. He was, just somebody
He's
had
looking
something on
good.
his mind.
He's looking good lately.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm super stoked for him. He came in, I said, we stepped out to smoke, and I was like, dude, you good? And he said, yeah. He said, I was leaving an event for the label this morning, and there was a homeless dude by the vehicle, and he kind of turned his head and he recognized him. And it wasn't that he recognized him that bothered him. It was, he went to school with a guy, and he said he was always the life of the party and, the least likely to be homeless. And kind of paired that with something I've said since I've been in recovery, that, nobody wakes up one morning and goes, man, I think I want to be an alcoholic and a drug addict and be riddled with mental health and, be homeless. It's like those are 4 things that in this life truly are non-biased in any way, form, or fashion. They don't care what color you are, where you came from, who your parents are, or what tax bracket you're in. They just want you dead.
Right, yeah.
And, he and I, coming from checkered backgrounds, have a unique ability to kind of meet people where they're at. We speak that language, and I never tell somebody that I know what they're going through, because we're all as different as our fingerprints. And all of our rock bottoms are different, but they're still rock bottoms.
Sure. And Begging for Change is the name of the song that you and Jelly worked on together. So you said that he was an intricate part of that. You kind of just gave the backstory, but then how was it just kind of putting the song together with him? Because obviously your all's voices work together well, I think, in that one in particular.
Yeah, I do think that's one of his best vocals he's ever done. There's no AI junk that people are doing nowadays. We went to his house for his vocal part, and man, he spent a lot of time in the booth. More time than I've seen him spend in the booth. Like, he really chopped wood on it and sang his ass off, and wound up just being, that's kind of the ace up our sleeve on that album. Joe Jamie said it best. She was like, this song matters. It's like, as much as we all want to every time we write one, few and far betweens are the moments where you actually find, where you're able to write a song that has the potential to help, and relate to people that are in a not so great place and motivate them and incentivize them to get out of that hole they're in. And this one does that. So it's, man, just the most rewarding thing to me as a writer or an artist is having somebody come up to you and go, hey, dude, like, that song helped me through some stuff in life. There's nothing more rewarding than that. So, yeah, I'm hoping that one does some good.
Would you say there's any particular moment, like fan interaction, that really stuck out to you? You're like, oh, wow, I really helped this person throughout their life, like meet and greet wise or anything in between?
There's a few of them that come to mind, man. It's, that's one thing about my story is we didn't create this image, right, and market around it.
Yeah.
I don't have a Carrie Underwood voice or a Vince Gill voice. We didn't build around that. what I always felt like, earned me my place at the table was, my ability and my willingness to share my story, and the testimony therein that kind of, that was my strong suit, and being able to write it. You know what I mean? So yeah, when that's the case, I do feel like people relate at a very, very personal level. Like if you listen to all my albums, you have a really good idea who I am, what I've been through, and where I stand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when people listen to songs like that and they listen to your story and they relate to it, it becomes theirs. They've got sweat equity and blood, sweat, and tears in it, just like you do. And then they buy tickets and albums, and now they're invested in you. So it's, argument can be made to an extent to me that, it kind of develops into an acquaintance more than it does being a fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's, it allows itself for a lot of conversations like that. And man, that's one of the many motivators that's been consistent since the very beginning, was knowing that, hey man, if we can fit one on an album that has some real weight to it, like, and it always ends up not being that one that gets the single nod. It's like,
Always.
bro, no joke. My career, I can honestly say that a lot of my least favorite songs on projects were the ones that went radio. It was just like, man,
And
it's rough.
does that put you in a tough spot? Because then those are the songs that everyone wants to hear whenever they go see you at a show. Is that ever like? I know we've talked to other artists and they talk about being up on stage and it's like, oh, I've got to sing this song again. Do you ever have that feeling, or are you happy? It's like, well, this isn't the one that I intended for to have this impact, but I'm still happy to sing this one.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's different with every one of them. Like we've got top fives. One of them's top three, top tens that we don't play in the set. You know what I mean? Number ones, countrywide, you don't know, or kind of staple things, more movements than they were just hit songs for us. You know what I mean? So it's like almost encapsulates a chapter. And when you add that to the show, there's familiarity there from people that have been listening for a long time. And go, oh yeah, it's wild that I've been doing it long enough for that to be the case. They don't nominate me for best new artist anymore. But great, it's awesome, man. Whole thing's a blessing.
Yeah, and one song that has definitely gotten a lot of attention, a lot of fans have been talking about it. I even wrote about it, I think, for Whiskey Riff was, and if it wasn't clear that you can curse on this podcast, I'm about to make it very clear. Fucked Me Up was a song that I wrote about that a lot of people got. It got a lot of people talking. I think it drops the F-bomb 16 separate times, but it's not what people think it is. Like if someone sees that title, if someone hears that that's kind of what I wrote about, it's not exactly what you think. So how was it kind of wrapping up a song like that with a lot of emotion in it? Obviously, a lot of F-bombs included. How was that?
It's like, the thing, so for, surface value, it's, oh, he's doing it, I have an idea what this is going to be, and then it's not that. It leads in as a ballad and a piano-driven ballad. It's like, oh, he's using it for shock factor. Then I feel like you did, when you get into the listen, you get into the nuts of the song, you realize it's not that either. It's like we've all had breakups, and none of them are easy. You don't want to break anybody's heart. You don't want to break yours, but a lot of us have had that one breakup, and mine, thankfully, God ended up coming back and being my forever person. You know what I mean? And that part made it easier to write, because the end. But man, in the heat of that, like I kind of pieced pieces of that song together through the years, right? So after that happened, it was kind of like, dude, Saving Amy was kind of like that. It took me 3 years to write that. Like it just had to be right. And then we were on a Texas retreat. And it popped out, and the label I was with at the time, that wasn't the direction we were in. Not really something that somebody wanted to get behind, and which it is what it is. But to me, creatively, like that's the stuff I like writing. We kind of pigeonholed ourselves for the better part of a decade on the tough guy, bad boy shit, which is, man, I mean, I look how I look. I ran around bikers for the majority of my adult life. I lived out on a daily basis. There's, surface value what you see is what you get, right? Like I don't have to preach that. The songs that really brought me to the dance, so to speak, and the songs that I enjoy writing are songs that not the cookie cutter crap. I like writing depth. I like, to me, songwriting's been the truest form of expression outside of prayer, right? And sometimes even as a prayer, more powerful, right? It's like, and you relive it every time you write those. And those are the ones that those are solo listens. A lot of times those aren't show songs. They're ones that people listen to that meet them where they're at. Like, but those are my favorite ones to write. Songs about love, songs about faith, songs about hurt, pain, like the hard stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like you said earlier, those are the songs that people often connect to the most, even though, like you said, you might not be including that one in the set list.
100%.
Yeah.
But we played it live
Yeah.
one time, and now we're just trying to figure out the right place for it in the set. But it popped off. Like it was received well. All ages shows and stuff. You kind of, which brings me to we are releasing simultaneously another complete version of this album that's clean.
Okay.
For moms like my wife, hadn't missed a Sunday since she was born. If you don't already know this, we're like complete opposites. It's like
Okay.
the opposites attract thing is real. But yeah, it's songs like that, songs like Begging for Change. Sounds like, Live Forever, like, those are the ones that really do something for me. And when I say I wanted to get back to doing what I loved about writing, like, that's what I love. And I've kind of developed intentionally this thing later in life where, how much time have we wasted beating around the bush and sugarcoating things? Like, I started paying a lot of attention to the people around me and started prioritizing keeping people around me that were not afraid to have hard conversations. Like, not only for time's sake, but, if iron's going to sharpen iron, then that dude's got to be willing to talk. And I feel like as men, a lot of times, like, we carry a lot of shit around and the rub dirt on it thing. And I think there's value to that and legitimacy to that. But I also think, the willingness to have conversations and put stuff on the table. When we don't do that, we're cheating each other out of making each other better as husbands and dads and businessmen and partners and friends.
Iron sharpens iron. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Which the album we've talked a lot about. Is there any song on there, besides some that we've already talked about, that is one of your favorites? Because we're talking about some of the things that you've really liked about putting this together, the album and the songwriting of it. But what's the one song that you're like, okay, you step back from that project and you're like, wow, this is something that I'm really proud of?
Man, there's several of them, right, in their own way. There's a lot of reasons I'm proud of this album. Like 15 songs is stepping out on a limb when you're not coming from strength or momentum at radio, right? So we're kind of out on a limb there. We're out on a limb with only having one feature on the entire album.
Yeah, there's usually a lot more features in the modern country, so I appreciated the fact that it was just that one, and like you already described how it kind of came to be, it was very natural for that to pop up, it sounds like.
It wasn't forced at all.
Yeah.
Like, it was the opposite. And, man, I wanted a no-skip album in the age of not consuming music that way. Something that the people that have sweat equity invested and blood, sweat, and tears invested in supporting us through the years could go, dude's back. You know what I mean? And that is, I do have that feeling. And it's kind of one of those, like an energy that's kind of spread through our entire organization is, we're back.
Yeah. It's definitely exciting for fans, I think, to be able to dive into this album. And like you said, not a lot of people are listening to albums front to back. I always personally have loved to do that. I know Brendan's probably the same way. Like, I think we're both the type of person to get the vinyl record, put it on, listen to it and flip it. So I don't know how you feel about that, but man, vinyl's already kind of on a come up again, but it would be nice if we could just somehow everybody get back to that form of music consumption, I think.
100%. Everything kind of trends and comes in and out. I hope that's on its way back. 'Cause, man, country music has always been notorious for, or well known for the storytelling aspect. It's like, now that it's kind of consumed on a song by song basis, it's cool if that song is a story. but you kind of lose a lot of sting. I always liked the albums I could listen to and try to figure out what they're talking about. You know, what's the theme here? What's the, you know, what are we accomplishing with this album? And we wanted it to be that while being its own playlist. And
Yeah.
that's why you hear like the most country song on the record right next to the heaviest song on the record.
Yeah, we were talking about that actually. It's like there is some variation from song to song, so that was an intentional move for you.
100%.
Okay, cool.
Just like we do need shock factor. Like, and if you look, so it starts off with the addiction and ends with live forever, right? And addiction's not what you think either when you when you look at the song, right? So you know, nothing's what it seems to an extent on that album. There's a couple I'm like small town, and you know what small town is when you look at it. But there's a lot of things on there that are not what they seem, because I feel like that's a big aspect of me as an artist and us as a band and an organization is, you know, what you see is what you get, but sometimes you see something a little different. You know what I mean? You know, people have preconceived notions just at face value, which I understand. It's like, judgment is what it is, man. It's like any of us say that if anybody says they don't judge people, I call bullshit. It doesn't even say in the Bible not to judge people. It's like, don't judge lest you be judged. You know, don't judge people for doing shit when you're doing the same shit or worse.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, but yeah, it starts with the addiction, ends with live forever. The addiction's not what historically we've led with. Like, we've always come with like a banger, you know, shock value. Oh shit, it's a party, you know, we're wide open. But this one, I wanted to start with substance. And addiction's one of those that you talk about, I have a deep personal connection to in a bunch of different ways. That song's actually written in the room that we lived in as a family. That's my favorite place we've ever lived. It was while we were building our house. We were in this little 2,000 square foot, basically 2 bedrooms. Amber and I slept in an area right between the 2 rooms. A security freak. But, you know, I never had to worry or wonder where the kids were. You know, we were right on top of each other, but man, I loved it. Like, I love our house now. It's beautiful. It's my wife's dream. Cool with it. But if I can move back in that little room, I'd do it at a heartbeat. But we designed that specific building on the farm to be for writing retreats.
Oh, cool.
So I was supposed to be working 4 rooms, and I walked into that room, and they were on the chorus melody, and Drew Parker was singing it. And I mean, you guys know it's insane vocalist, and man, it was so strong. It was like I didn't even know what he was saying, you know. And I heard it before the doors all the way open, and man, it grabbed me. And then as the song developed, it was like kind of when I came into the room, you know, a lot of times we're all personally invested. We bring all our own stories to the table, so it's personal to all of us in a way. But it being my album, they kind of let me get in there and kind of drive for a minute and make sure it was in a, you know, told my story and hit home for me. And man, it did in the biggest way. As an addict, like, it's not a popular opinion in that world, but in my opinion, bro, addicts replace addictions with other addictions. And my addiction's not, you know, it says she a lot in that song. So obviously my wife's a big part of that. But a lot of times when it says she, it's not just her, it's the life that came with her. Right. And it's the kids, but it's not just the life that came with the kids. It's the chapter of life as a whole, like how much different I am now than I was than the chapter of my life where, you know, I wasn't planning on being anybody's dad or anybody's husband. I wanted to be a biker, a real one, and play music too, you know. But that's the big trick on the album is looking back from this chapter, right, and doing 3 things. Looking back and going, man, that was cool, or that's a good memory. 2, man, that sucked, man, that was hard. I learned a lot from that. That was miserable. Or 3, how the hell did we make it through that?
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Reflective, yeah.
Yeah, those are the 3 tricks. So, you know, and the intention was to be able to grab, you know, people of all ages and all backgrounds and all demographics that, you know, appreciate the kind of stuff we do, like putting something on there for everybody and meeting them in the chapter of life they're in.
Yeah. And the chapter of life you're in right now, you're juggling being a husband and a father, and then being someone out on tour and entertaining fans. How has that been? Because I know you just said a second ago, like, you never necessarily imagined that for yourself, and now you're kind of living both I don't want to sound cliche, but the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, it's the best, but we're trying to make it the best, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the hope. It's like I say when I walked in here, and like the minute I'm done, I'm out. I'm going to the house.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed is, you know, when we have kids, we all want to be the best dad they could ask for, right? And I kind of got in the habit of saying that, and just subconsciously thinking I was doing it. And my wife's really good about holding me accountable, man, and brought some things to my attention as far as being present and, you know, not just being there, but being there.
Being there,
You know?
yeah.
And I was not doing a very good job of it and thought I was. So it's, man, that's the story of being a dad too, though, right? It's like thinking you know some shit, and then an 8, 6, and 1.5-year-old remind you on a daily basis that you don't know a damn thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, and then on the road, I think I spoke earlier, it's like when I'm at home, I feel like I'm supposed to be out earning and spending time out here with these folks that have helped us build this crazy thing over 20 years. And when I'm out there, I feel like I'm supposed to be at home, being present. And the only time I truly feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be is when they're out on the road with me.
Right.
Which is few and far between right now, because my wife started like a homeschool school 3 years ago, like a faith-based thing. And she outgrew the building they were in 3 years. So we bought a church and kind of reverting it into their new building. And, man, I work harder at home than I do here. And I have a boss. And that was something I swore against early in life. When I turned into music full time, I was like, never again will I have a boss. And then I got married. and it was like, yeah.
But it sounds like she's a good boss. I would hope, or she's a good boss is someone who motivates you and who keeps you accountable. It sounds like she's doing both of those things. But
sure.
like you said, you are definitely staying busy. It sounds like around the clock with every aspect of your life. So
For sure.
Hope
Hope we find some balance in that at some point.
Sure.
In the near future.
and how hard is it to be out on the road and feel that it's a feeling that I think everyone's familiar with. It's like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be somewhere else. I'm sure once you get up on stage, it might not come through like that as much, but just when you're on the road part, because a lot of fans don't realize it's like a lot of the being out on the road is just literally being on the road, not actually performing. So there's definitely a lot of time where you're probably like, man, I just wish that, like you said, you wish that they could be out there on the road with you all the time, but there is some stuff that is going on at home that she and the kids have to stay home for.
She's in the trenches, man. And that's another thing when you can't come home and just be the fun dad. You're stoked to see them. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. They're stoked to see you. And she's been in the trenches all week. It's like, that's not fair to her either. So a lot of times I have to come in disciplinary and almost immediately, and that's tough. So finding the balance there is interesting. It's like, man, one of the things that helps is, one, the familiarity of these people that have supported us through the years. Like I said earlier, like if you've listened to my albums, like you have a good idea who I am and how I feel and where I stand. And, so I'm around like-minded people that, and one thing that was important to us, as far as our road family is for it to be a road family. If it's a 9 to 5, you can ask a guy to leave home at home for 8, 9 hours a day. When you live with each other sometimes for months at a time, I can't ask my guys to do that and wouldn't. It's kind of back to what I talked about the people that I surround myself with intentionally. We started making that a big part of the hiring process. We bring in anybody new, you're going on a run first, and we're going to see what the hang's like, just to make sure the culture fits. Because, man, and not to say that that's everybody out there is like-minded politically or none of that shit. It's more about being willing to put your stuff on the table and not carry stuff around from home. If you're having a rough time with something, don't bottle that shit up, because you're a walking time bomb, and when it goes off, it will affect and bleed all over everything you do professionally. So, bro, get it on the table, because by not doing that, you may be cheating me out of an opportunity to become a better dad or better friend or better business partner. You know what I mean? Now, you don't hear me say me often, because it's not a thing. It's like we are a team and a family, and the people around me have major sweat equity and blood, sweat, and tears in this thing. So it's like, we did want to make it a culture and a family where you're comfortable sharing things and kind of helping each other through the time away from your families.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the that aspect, I feel like you've talked a lot about mental health today, which is really cool. Is that a situation where like you're encouraging others to do therapy, or are you in therapy yourself, or
100%. So my therapy is a little different. My cousin is a Christian counselor,
Okay, cool.
therapist, and really good at it. And he's a phone call away. So more than going to sit with him for an hour or two, if I run into something, a lot of times when we're having conversations, like the doghouse is like our man cave, right? And that's one of the points there. A lot of men around me, we have a couple rules. Is like no new women. Like you have to be in kind of a relationship that's been solidified for a minute. Just so nobody's wife has to worry about anything.
yeah,
Same thing on the road. Like if I can control my environment, I need to do so out of respect for my wife and everybody else's wife. So like, women that come most of the time, long-term relationships or wives. But most of the time it's a bunch of guys. They'll stop. There's a revolving door, man. And it's kind of, it's our man cave, but talking through stuff and having hard conversations is a form of therapy, I think. And if I ever run into something that we don't know the answer to, whether you call a pastor. My wife drug my butt back to church, and the dude that he and his wife are the pastors there, and I played ball against him, and he's a little younger than me. So that was a little weird for me at first, you know what I mean? But he's cool. I think he's still trying to navigate me, because it is what it is. And every now and then something slips. I'm like, my bad, dude. He's like, dude, I want you to be you. I want you to get to, my prayers. At some point, you get to a place in your life where, you want to use a different word. But for right now, I want you to do you, which is.
that's cool. That it's a non-judgmental type of relationship.
It is, but I feel like it's also loaded. Like, what I mean? Like, it's charged 110%. But all jokes aside, he really is a solid dude. I know I can call him at the drop of a hat, and he could give me direction. Man, not long ago, there was a buddy of mine that was really going through some stuff, and I didn't have the answers. And that's one thing in my adult life that I've tried to do is, man, I do have some experiences, some areas, and I can relate to certain things, and we all can kind of relate to certain situations, and I did this and this happened. Not saying that's right, but this helped. But if I ever run into something that's over my head, or I feel like it's a major problem, like if somebody's having like suicidal thoughts, something like that, like I go directly to him or Doug. And one of my buddies man, this dude's a good dude. Was a good dad by choice. Like, took in another little girl as a dad to her, and it's just a solid man, dude. He was really having some trouble with stuff. And I called my pastor, and I was like, hey, man, like, I'm in uncharted territory here. And dude confides in me. I don't want to, violate his trust, but at the same time, I don't know what to tell him.
Yeah,
And he was
right.
like, well, dude, if he'd be comfortable, tell him to call me. I called and asked him if he was. He did, and man, he called me like 2-3 weeks later, and he was like, bro, that dude saved my life.
Yeah.
So it was like, him being willing to do that, like, that's still the small town. Like, I kind of got away from church because of church people.
And
You
I
know
get
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you're raised in it, it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
not that I ever got to a point in my faith where I thought God wasn't real or anything. I feel like some of us go through chapters of life where we stray.
Yeah.
You can be pushed away, but that, him being willing to do that, my cousin being willing to jump in the way he is, it's been a big help. So I've been a little more careful about handing out advice in this chapter of my life. Just because, that 8, 6, and 1.5-year-old reminded me that I'm not as smart as I think I am a lot of times. And it kind of carried into other chapters of my life, working in the veteran community like we do. You kind of expose yourself to some situations, like, and this happens more than you think. One in particular, there was a guy that, it was an acquaintance. I knew him kind of coming up, and he called me one night and said, hey man, I'm about to be one of the 22 today. And I just want to call and tell you thank you for talking to me the times you did and for writing songs that got me through to this point. But, you know, nothing you could say or do. I'm ready to go. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, hold on. The panic attack immediately. I know this dude's parents, right? Like, so I called, there's actually a guy named John Lovell who runs Warrior Poet Society. He's an incredible dude. Like, I tell people if there's a man that's pursuing like a PhD in, you know, faith, unapologetic masculinity, and you know, he's retired Ranger. The dude's good with a gun. He's that guy. And I called him and I was like, bro, what do I do? And he was like, man, you know, if somebody reaches out to you with that, it may be more of a cry for help than, you know, an actual like life or death situation, but just in case, let's treat it like it is. He said most of the time when guys really get to that point, they'll call somebody like me or somebody that they served with and kind of go there before they make the call. You know, he said, but, you know, try this. Tell him, he can call me, or here's the contact information for this veteran suicide organization, or, you know, this drug and alcohol clinic, because he was in that space, and this, and he said, tell him you'd be willing to help him monetarily if he'll take the incentive to go. If he'll check himself in, if you can do it, tell him you pay for it. And if it didn't, it worked. So now that's kind of the standard operating procedure. If somebody calls with something like that, it's like, I know where to point them. To kind of just networked a couple places to give people direction in instead of trying to give advice I don't understand.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And it sounds like you're getting a lot of these calls. Is that a normal thing? Like that you're getting a lot of people that confide in you and want to share some of these heavier thoughts with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you know, and here's the thing, like in working in the veteran community especially, like,
Yeah.
that's something I'm passionate about, and
What
something I
got
was
you
passionate about
What
before
got
I
you
met Toby.
inspired to kind of get into that space too?
So, like, my mom's side of the family was a military family.
Okay.
And one of my uncles was, you know, Vietnam guy that came home and had some trouble, but we didn't travel up there much. Like, I wasn't exposed to it a whole lot. But one of the guys I went to high school with was a really close friend of mine. He came back from his second tour. You know, first tour he came back was more like a boy becoming a man type thing. Second tour he came back, dude, and it was bad. Like, he was in really bad shape, and we were really close, so I was around to watch a lot of it. Like, he went to the VA and came home with like a big Ziploc, like the big Ziploc bags, like slapped full of medication and stuff. And I was like, I take some of that shit by choice. You know, this is just a more troubled chapter of my life, but I knew what some of them were, and it was an obscene amount. And it was like, man, that is like wild amounts. And that was the first time they really hit home, so to speak, because I knew who this dude was before he left, and this was a different human being, and like deeply troubled. And you know, that kind of inspired me a little bit, because dude, I'm going to music business was to sell out the Georgia Theater. It's like 20 minutes from my house now. I still live at home, and that was kind of passed on from Corey Smith. Corey said that he wanted to sell out the Georgia Theater, and if he did, he was going to quit his job as a teacher and focus on music and do it full time. So that I was like, man, that's cool if he pulls it off, and he did, and it became my goal. But you know, after that, I didn't know any of this was going to happen. I wasn't a kid that grew up like wanting to be famous necessarily or uber successful. It was more of a thing. I sunk all the ships and kind of fucked all the other options off, if that makes any sense. So what I ended up with was way more spotlight and platform than one, I ever asked for, and two, knew what to do with. And when it happened, it was like, all right. And at the same time, you know, Toby Keith is out there doing like God's work. Like, and that dude, man, when I finally met him and got to know him a little bit and went on tour with him, it was like, this dude isn't doing this because it's a good luck or good look. He's doing it because he wants to. And then I realized later on he's doing it because he needed it.
Yeah.
Like, it was part of what made him tick.
Sure. I mean, the number of USO tours he went on is
obscene.
He set the bar really high for everybody else.
100%. I hadn't done that. I hadn't put a 10 in that bucket, man. Kelly Pickler was another one that was just insanely involved, and man, they set the bar really high. But Toby was just somebody, man. That dude, I thought that dude hung the moon, and still do.
Mhm.
He's just a good man. I still talk to his wife every now and then, and she's as sweet as she can be. And you know, I really looked up to him, man, and seeing that was, he wasn't a spotlighter. He was doing it because it mattered, and because, like I said, like he wanted to, and then later I found out he needed it. Like it's one of the things that made him who he was, and man, that was contagious. It was like, bro, all right, hell yeah, let's go. So, that you end up making relationships with some of them, and signing up for things that I didn't. In the back of my mind, when I started forming friendships in like communicative relationships where you're kind of back and forth with these guys on a regular basis, and they get to the point where they confide in you.
Yeah.
And I'm not at all educated on how to help. So it was like, maybe I need to learn more. And what we ended up finding out was a lot of times, when we were doing things to raise awareness, we thought we're helping. Like a lot of times, the last thing them dudes want is a loud room and a bunch of lights and loud noises and stuff. We started figuring out that, man, they got a lot more out of us going without a camera, hanging out with them. One of my favorite things to do is go to these dudes like special ops guys and guys that saw combat and let them teach me stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fun. They're teaching me. I'm learning. In more ways than one, because that opens up conversations. Like, hey, dude, what actually helps? Like, what can I do with my platform that would actually be beneficial, and not like. And that's been Justin Patterson's a dude. He gave me a Purple Heart. First dude to ever give me a Purple Heart. Didn't know what to do with it. And man, we really formed like a friendship. But I'm trying to talk him into moving to my farm right now. This dude has a servant's heart, and he has become like a nonprofit guru. If you follow him, I'll give you stuff. It's worth taking a look. That dude is always doing something for the veteran community, for active duty guys and girls. And like, he's been an invaluable freaking, vessel for me into that world.
Yeah.
He sees it, and he knows how to communicate with me and doesn't cut corners. And just watching him go through, man, when he came home, he went through a pretty wild phase, and then a divorce, and like really hit rock bottom for a minute. Spent some time behind bars, and ended up recovering. And dude, he's in a really cool walk of faith. Like, so the script flipped. There's a lot of ways now I look up to him and kind of. Like, he's got faith like a child, man, and a servant's heart, and that's hard to not love,
Yeah.
Well, and the veteran community is one of the communities that's like, how can we not be helping them more? I mean, they sacrifice everything for the rest of us. The least we can do is help them once they're done with what they were the sacrifice itself. And so, props to you for helping with that. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of good things, and obviously having Toby Keith as kind of an inspiration and a leader in that aspect's got to be, like you couldn't have really picked a better role model in terms of trying to help out the veterans and give back to the troops and things like that. And it's like meeting Toby Keith. Like, how would you describe, not even meeting him, but just you're friends with him. How would you describe that to someone like the average country music fan who I would say most people love Toby Keith?
Yeah. So. Man, I was talking to his manager not long ago, and he said something that was pretty wild. He was like, man, everything's so politically charged now, and Toby kind of got sucked into that. He's like, Toby was way less concerned about left and right than most people knew. Courtesy of Red, White, and Blue wasn't a anthem for the right. You know what I mean? It wasn't political at all. It's just a freaking American anthem. You know what I mean? He said, you listen to a lot of those songs. That was the case. He wrote it for the boys and girls overseas, and he wrote it for us at home to rally support and patriotism. Like, and that was a big deal because, as my career's progressed, there have been certain situations that have kind of flipped political on me, and it's my least favorite thing on the planet. But with him, like, he was what you see is what you get unapologetically.
Right.
when you meet people that know me and you spend time with me on a daily basis, you know, until then, you think what you won't do, and it is what it is. Man, the world's turned into a giant comment section, and
It has.
which is kind of wild. And bro, I ain't gonna lie, kind of funny. They had somebody. I don't really frequent social media much, but every now and then people will send me stuff, and my buddy sent me one the other day. It was I thought he was sending it to me because it was one of the new songs we put out. There's Good Old Boys. We played it live.
Yeah.
And I'm on stage and I'm singing, and it's two of the comments that were right next to each other. One was like, "This dude is a living, breathing affliction shirt." I died, dude. It was like, oh man. And then another one was like, "This is nails. This dude's voice is nails on a chalkboard." It's just like, bro. It's just brutal, but it's funny.
It's funny, and it's good that you can laugh about it. And I know Brennan, I think, wanted to ask about the whole thing that happened between you and Zach Bryan and Jason
I was
Aldean
curious.
and all that
So
stuff.
I guess for listeners, Zach Bryan did a parody of your big hit that Jason Aldean covered, "Dirt Road Anthem." This was around this was around the Super Bowl. So how did that get on your radar?
Corey, in fact, we were, I think it was a media day, and he was like, "Check this out." And man, like, I think everybody expected me to kind of
be angry.
what the fuck for?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it was funny as shit. Like, it was funny as hell. And at the end of the day, you know, I know he's had some back and forth with Gavin and stuff. Gavin's around from where I'm from. I don't really know that dude all that well. I don't know. I've never met Zach Bryan. I know that, you know, he has some opinions different than some people I know and care about, but I mean, dude, I don't know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
So why would you get upset about what he has to say?
yeah, I mean, and what do we do? What is internet beef, dude? Are we East Coast, West Coast shit?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
This is country music. You know, at the end of the day, to be completely honest, is his music my favorite? No, not necessarily my cup of tea, but I have a deep respect for some, like, as a lyricist, dude saying some wild shit. Like, there's some shit there to be respected, and he served his country, and I didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm gonna hand you respect until you give me a reason not to. And him writing a parody wasn't really, and even when Aldean chirped in, it wasn't like a catty bullshit. It was just everybody. I think everybody took it more literal than we were about it. Like,
You put out a video yourself, like eating a chili dog.
hell
right?
yeah, it was funny as shit.
Yeah, that was great.
It's like, man. I mean, I don't know. Part of it, I'm not an internet beef guy.
Yeah.
I don't see the value in it. Man, I'm a married dad of 3. Like, I've been in fights and shit. Yeah, probably more than most people have seen on TV. But
Sure.
I'm not in a hurry to do that. Like, dude, it's you know, dude, also, I will give this to him. That motherfucker climbed a chain link fence with barbed wire at the top of it to fight somebody.
Absolutely
He
insane.
ain't no bitch.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
You know what I mean? I got to give him his roses where his
sure.
roses are due. You know, like I said, he's posted some stuff politically that I see different, but it doesn't make me hate the dude.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, all of us have stories about us. And like I said earlier, you may have a preconceived notion about him. You know, when people say we don't judge people, we're lying like hell. We do. But until I meet the guy, you know, if I meet him and he spits in my face,
Then you might have
we're going to go.
Yeah.
But that's John Smith, too. You know, that's anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see that ever being a situation, man. Dude, the dude's selling out fucking stadiums. Good on you, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's not easy to do. So, that was a thing that went way further than we thought it would.
That's what
too.
I'm like. How did this get this far in this stages? But I think you handled it great. Like when I saw you with the corn dogs, I'm like, this is perfectly how you handle beef. I'm like, A+.
Yes.
I feel like at this point in your career, it's like you don't have time for beefs. Like you see all these artists online beefing Charlie Crockett, Gavin Adcock, everybody else. Like,
Is that a
I think it's
thing?
like, that's the whole thing.
Has
There's,
been,
there's
What's
a
that
whole
about?
lot of beefs.
That's a.
I
That'd
feel
be
like Gavin's kind of a magnet for some of that shit at
I
this
think,
point.
yeah. I mean, he can probably lean into it a little bit, which you know.
Well, there's that saying that any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
But man, I also understand myself enough to know that if I do develop some kind of dislike with somebody,
Yeah.
it's not good.
Sure.
Like it
Yeah.
will pop off. So like I need to respect that too. And
Yeah.
you know, as far as I'm concerned, it was pretty fucking funny,
No, it
dude.
was
Like
great.
I think it's just another situation where it proves like you can lean into it and have fun with it, and then create some laughter and some joy in the world. And another way that you did, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were a part of a Guinness World Record recently. Do you want to tell people who are listening like how that came to be and the exact story? I don't want to ruin any sort of surprise factor here whenever
Oh,
you
no,
say
I
what the
think it's
Guinness
out.
World Record was.
Yeah, so Ross Smith and my manager made contact a couple years ago. We ended up hooking up. He came on a duck trip with us, and he and his brother, super cool dude. And that's the grandson. So his grandmother is Granny Smith. She's 99 or 100, like literally 100 years old. And he called and was like, "Man, we have this idea. We think we'll get Granny in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the oldest person to ever crowd surf." And I was like, I totally thought he was fucking with me.
As
When he called me with
someone
it, I
might,
was like,
yeah.
yeah, I hear you, dude.
Yeah.
What are we doing tomorrow? And he was like, okay, so one, I'm serious. I was like, oh, God. All right. Well, you know, I will say, there for a minute, I looked over side stage when they were putting her on the board. Like, I thought I saw fear in her face, and it just destroyed me because I was like,
So they put her on like almost like a stretcher, right?
yeah.
So she could crowd surf.
But it wasn't a very good stretcher, bro. Like, it was safety was not paramount here at all. Setting the record was important. And then, but you know, as she's going by on the thrust, if she would have looked scared at all, I think I probably would have just grabbed her and pulled her on stage. But when she came by, she was having the time of her life.
Oh,
So it was like, bro, you know what? I hope my my kids do some crazy shit like that with me.
yeah.
You know, don't stick me in a nursing home. Let me rot in there. Have fun with me. And she's awesome. When they started chanting her name, she was
cool.
right in with it. She was having the time of her life too. So man, it was super cool to be a part of. Somebody sent me some comments on that too. That were like, "This shouldn't really crowd surfing," and I was like, "Well." I almost chimed in there because there was a big thing that went back and forth for a couple weeks on like what would qualify as crowd surfing. So one of the things was the same people couldn't just tote her in a circle. Like she had to be passed.
Yeah.
So there were a couple guys following her, you know, if she would have failed it, you know, hopefully would have jumped in and grabbed her, but she actually did go around, bro. It's wild.
That's impressive, and it's a cool thing to be a part of, and it looked like that was a lot of energy there. And I mean, that's normal for your shows, and I know it's especially normal for some shows that you've already performed and you already have some coming up. Before we get you out of here, we do have to talk a little bit about Rock the Country. You've already played at the South Dakota and Kentucky shows, and you still have the Michigan one to go. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How has it been being a part of that whole event?
Hell yeah, man. They're a lot of fun. I mean, we go out, if we put the show on that we perform, like on a nightly basis, if you didn't have a preconceived notion of who we were, didn't have a, you know, zero exposure to us whatsoever, you're not going to leave there going, that dude's a right-wing extremist. You know what I'm saying? It was a note that I took from Toby after his manager said that. He was like, Toby was patriotic and he was more American than left or right. Like, that's what mattered to him. And that's what matters to me at the end of the day. Dude, there are some things, you know, that send me one way or another. And one of those major things is guns, you know. But again, I was raised around them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not weird to me. To, you know, all that stuff, man. You know, we played shows with Kid, we toured with Kid Rock. Dude's a freaking superstar. You know, how he chooses to you know, be politically is on him. I don't know that you know, that promotion as a whole was geared that way. I think it's something it turned into.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah, 100%.
they never called us like, hey, we want some Republicans to play this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That wasn't the
Who'd you
deal.
vote for in the blah, blah? Okay, now
yeah.
come
to
on.
qualify
Yeah,
to play this event, you had to vote for Trump. Like,
Yeah.
none of that shit ever happened.
Yeah.
So, Bro, I don't know. The conversations had backstage there or not, what are being made to happen. Like, we're there to play music, dude, and have a good time. One of my biggest, hurts about our society as a whole right now is we've lost the ability to have a conversation, and we lost the ability to coexist and enjoy shit together, regardless of where you stand politically.
Yeah.
Right and wrong's a fucking thing, dude. Like, and music was always you could be on different sides of an idea and still enjoy a show. So I said that the other day, and man, just to be transparent and honest, somebody brought up the turning point thing when I said that, and it was like, and asked me, do you not feel like that was divisive? It was a valid point. Those weren't my intentions. 110%. It was like, my kids got to watch 2 quarters of football and then watch their dad perform. I'm an entertainer. That's what I do for a living. People pay me something. We signed up for it. Did I know it was going to be pitched as a direct competition to the Super Bowl halftime show? I didn't know who the fuck was playing the Super Bowl halftime show until it was closed. I don't watch a whole lot of NFL ball. I'm mostly a college ball dude. So, yeah, man, hindsight's 20/20. And I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't know that going in, or that I didn't know that it was going to be kind of a thing going in. Whether I did or not, man, I can tell you, like, I was a Charlie Kirk fan. I feel like you could disagree with that dude and where he stood on things, but, his commitment to the First Amendment, in my opinion, was kind of unrivaled. If you have a platform and you're willing to share that with people that have opposing arguments, and you're willing to set the microphone down and let them speak, I don't know. I just thought he was a champion for the First Amendment, and I thought the dude was extremely well educated. I mean, he knew his shit. So, and two, when we were around, man, that dude was super. Like, when we did a Turning Point event years ago, before it was, before that made you a terrible person. And he was at the event, and man, that dude was so, like, just super nice and respectful to my wife and I without knowing who the hell we were.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know we were there in an entertainment capacity. And it's like, I watched the dude talk to the people around him, and he was just super genuine and super kind. So when I have a personal experience with somebody, even when they start taking heat for this, that, and the other, and get painted in a certain light, like,
It's like you met them before.
Instinctually, I go back to that moment. It was like, I didn't see that. Like, and maybe that's ignorance on my part, but I don't feel that way.
No.
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say so.
I catch a lot of shit for being unapologetic, but dude, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We were all raised. We all had the childhood trauma that we had. We all, we're, a result of our experiences and our choices, and a lot of mine were fucking bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, by no means, and also, bro, I'm in a learning season of life right now, and that's wild for me. Like, my grandfathers, the men who I thought really hung the moon, were really stern and really set in their beliefs and really forward with that, right? So inherently, like, that was kind of a thing. And right now, dude, like, again, with an 8, 6, and a 1.5-year-old showing me on a daily basis that I don't know shit. Like, some conversations that are being had lately, just, I'm in a learning season of life.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're all trying to be better people, better dads, better husbands, better friends. It's the effort you put into doing right?
Sure.
Just trying to be on a continuous path of being better. That's where I'm at. And I fail at it daily. Like,
But recognizing that and continuing on, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and sitting across from you, I feel like we've got nothing but the genuine Brantley Gilbert sitting across from us and talking to us today. So we appreciate you being open and talking about all the things that you were able to touch on today. And we just want to tell the fans, right, to go out, listen to Sins of the Father. Anything else that you want fans to know about you or go listen to or anything like that before we wrap up?
Oh, hey, man, give it a shot at being a full listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just my album, but, man, I miss the days of, back when it was CD tapes. I was alive for tapes, right? Like, You ever remember hearing a band was coming out with a song and having to go stand in line for it?
Nope.
That was before I
Bro.
think both of our time.
Bro, it was terrible to wait in line, but once you got it and got it in the truck,
Yeah.
man, you spun that thing, you live with it for days in a
Yeah.
row. And that, you know, you became, you earned sweat equity with that artist, and you kind of developed a relationship with these songs that only you knew. And that's something, man, I wish you guys more of those experiences. It makes my heart
sounds
feel
fun.
good to know that y'all weren't from the generation that waited in line to buy them, and you still listen to them front to back.
Yeah.
Because there's, when you define an artist by one song that you heard that you didn't like, you cheat yourself out of something that may help you or something that you may dig, man. It could be inspiring in a way if you're a musician or a songwriter, or just if they touch on something in life and look at it different. So, yeah, man, go front to back on it. And, in the world we live in today where you can download one of the songs, try to make a point to make it all the way through.
That's right. You heard the man do exactly what he just said. Brantley, thanks so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be on the Whiskey Riff Raff podcast. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. Appreciate y'all having me.